Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the daily quiz. Before we begin, we have a small announcement. The third lecture of Indian Economy Current Affairs will be taken up by Sham Sir tomorrow as part of our Target Prelims free crash course, which goes live at 7:30 p.m. on our YouTube channel. So don't miss to attend this session and do subscribe to the channel for regular updates. Now let's begin with the first question for today. Global COVID Virtual Summit has been hosted by whom? Is it by the G20 or the United States or the WHO or the European Union? See, the Global COVID Virtual Summit was launched by the United States last year in order to promote coordination amongst the countries to deal with the pandemic. This topic is in news because yesterday, the second edition of the Global COVID Virtual Summit was held and Prime Minister Modi also took part in the summit. This development has been reported in PIB's press release, according to which Prime Minister Modi participated in the second Global COVID Virtual Summit, following the invitation of President Biden, who is hosting the second edition of the summit in order to promote coordination amongst the countries to prevent pandemic fatigue and to prioritize preparedness to contain any future threats posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, moving on to the second question. What is the significance of Lumbini, the birthplace of Lord Gautam Buddha, a UNESCO World Heritage Site of the historic Maya Devi Temple? See, this topic is in news because Prime Minister Modi is traveling to Nepal on the occasion of Buddha Purnima, during which he will pay a visit to the sacred Maya Devi Temple at Lumbini, which happens to be an important pilgrimage site in Buddhism. The significance of Lumbini lies in the fact that it is considered to be the birthplace of Lord Gautam Buddha, and this sacred pilgrimage site is located very close to the India-Nepal border. Considering the significance of this place, it has been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the sacred Maya Devi temple that you see in the image over here is also located at Lumbini, which in fact is considered to be the birthplace of Lord Buddha. So along with being the birthplace of Lord Gautam Buddha, it is also the site of the Maya Devi temple, and the Lumbini region has been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, considering its historical and archaeological significance. So all the three statements are correct. Option D is the right answer. Now let's take a look at the third question. Which of the following statements are correct? The National Disaster Management Authority, or NDMA, is headed by the Union Home Minister. It carries out immediate search and rescue and emergency relief operations following a disaster. It was established by the National Disaster Management Plan of 2019. See, the NDMA is in news because according to this press release from the Ministry of Home Affairs, it has conducted a one-day consultative workshop on forest fire management. The NDMA is the apex body for disaster management in India, and it was established by the Disaster Management Act of 2005. This institution is headed by the Prime Minister himself, who acts as the chairperson of NDMA, and it also comprises of a vice chairperson who would be assisted by members to lay down the policies, plans and guidelines for disaster management in India. So based on this understanding, we can clearly say that all the three given statements are incorrect because the NDMA is not headed by the Union Home Minister. It is headed by the Prime Minister himself. It is not directly involved in carrying out search and rescue and emergency relief operations. These operations are carried out by the National Disaster Response Force, or NDRF, which comes under the control of the NDMA. And this apex level body for disaster management was established by the Disaster Management Act of 2005 and not by the National Disaster Management Plan of 2019. In fact, the NDMA is a policy-making body. Its mandate is to lay down the policies, guidelines and plans to promote disaster management cycle, which lays down the priorities in disaster management, including preparedness, prevention, mitigation, emergency response and relief, and as well as long-term rehabilitation and reconstruction. So this comprehensively covers the pre-disaster phase, during disaster phase and post-disaster phase, and thus completes the disaster management cycle. So as a part of this mandate, NDMA has the responsibility to come out with the National Policy and National Plan on Disaster Management. And in 2016, the National Disaster Management Policy was brought out and approved by the NDMA. And in 2019, the National Disaster Management Plan was also approved. So coming back to the question, all the three given statements are incorrect. So option D is the right answer. Now let's take a look at the fourth question. Which country has expressed interest to join the NATO following Russia's invasion of Ukraine? Is it Poland or Belarus or Finland or Turkey? See, according to this article from the Indian Express, Russia has warned of military technical steps in response to Finland's NATO decision. It has been reported over the last few weeks that Finland has expressed a lot of interest to join the NATO, which is a military alliance of the Western countries. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization brings together the Western countries from North America and Western Europe, and they have formed a military alliance along with several other countries from Central and Eastern Europe as well. Here in this map, you can see the current members of NATO, which already includes Poland and Turkey. So this will eliminate option A and D in the question. And Belarus, which has been provided under option B, is incorrect because Belarus is a very close ally of Russia. There is no way Belarus would ever join the NATO. But Finland, on the other hand, which is located over here, shares an immediate border with Russia, and it feels threatened after Russia invaded Ukraine. So in response to this Russian invasion of Ukraine, Finland has sought the military support and assistance of the NATO countries, and it has clearly expressed its interest to join the NATO as soon as possible. So clearly the answer is option C, Finland. Now let's take up a practice question from the 2019 prelims paper. Consider the following pairs. On one side, a list of seas have been given. On the other, countries have been listed which may or may not share borders with the given seas. Adriatic Sea has been matched with Albania, Black Sea with Croatia, Caspian Sea with Kazakhstan, Mediterranean Sea with Morocco, Red Sea with Syria. See, to answer this question, you need to be familiar with maps. So let's take a look as to where these seas are located and whether these countries share a border with the given seas. First, we have Adriatic Sea that is located over here next to Italy. And the Adriatic Sea also shares borders with Albania, that is country number 15, which you can clearly see over here in the map. So Albania has been correctly matched with the Adriatic Sea. Next, Black Sea has been matched with Croatia. See, this is the Black Sea. This is where it is located. But Croatia, that is marked as country number 6, is located over here, far away from the Black Sea. So this is incorrectly matched. Next, the Caspian Sea over here has been matched with Kazakhstan. And clearly you can see that Kazakhstan shares a border with the Caspian Sea. So this is also a correct match. Then the Mediterranean Sea over here, sandwiched between Europe and Africa, has been matched with Morocco, the North African country. And again, this is a correct match. And the last one is the Red Sea over here, matched with Syria. But if you observe, Syria located over here doesn't share direct borders with the Red Sea. So this is an incorrect match. So with this understanding, we can clearly say that the correct answer is option B, 1, 3 and 4 only. Now coming to the fact of the day, let's take a look at this explained article from the Indian Express, and even the Hindu carries a similar article that explains the science behind twin cyclones. This topic is in news because along with cyclone Asani, which has been formed over the Bay of Bengal, a twin cyclone has formed known as Cyclone Kareem in the southern hemisphere near Australia. As you know, Cyclone Asani was designated as a severe cyclonic storm in the Bay of Bengal, which was positioned off the coast of Andhra Pradesh a few days back, and now it has recurved and moved towards West Bengal. And thankfully, as it did not make landfall, it hasn't caused extensive damage. It is gradually dissipating on its own into a cyclonic storm and into a depression. But parallelly, another cyclone was formed in the southern hemisphere near Australia, that is near the west coast of Australia, which has been named as Cyclone Kareem. So the occurrence of such twin cyclones simultaneously in the northern and southern hemisphere is not new, and they in fact originate in the same longitude and later they drift apart. This phenomena arises due to the interplay of wind and monsoon systems, combined with the rotation of the Earth. Such twin tropical cyclones, lying on the same longitude in the two hemispheres, are usually caused by equatorial Rossby waves. Rossby waves are these massive waves in the ocean, which have a wavelength of around 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers. This system has a vortex or a rotating center in the northern hemisphere and a similar one in the southern hemisphere. These vortices are actually mirror images of each other, but the only difference is in their spin and in the direction that they will move. The vortex in the northern hemisphere, usually in the Bay of Bengal and the northern Indian Ocean, spins in a counterclockwise direction, and it is said to have a positive spin. While the cyclone that takes shape in the southern hemisphere, usually in southern Indian Ocean near Australia, spins in a clockwise direction, and therefore it is said to have a negative spin. But when you measure their rotation, which is referred to as vorticity, both will have positive values. And when such vortices form near the Rossby waves that we discussed, it leads to the formation of such twin cyclones under ideal conditions. When the vorticity is positive in both the northern and southern hemispheres, which is usually the case with Rossby waves, the air in the boundary layer, which will be carrying moisture from the ocean, will get lifted slightly, and this will initiate a feedback process. As the air continues to rise, the water vapor starts condensing to form clouds, and with the process of condensation, it starts letting out or releasing the latent heat of evaporation. So the atmosphere starts warming up, and this parcel of air continues to rise up, and a positive feedback is created, which eventually leads to the formation of dense and deeper clouds. Then, as moisture keeps adding up from both the sides, it leads to the formation of a cyclonic system at the depression. And if ideal temperature conditions and pressure conditions are present, it will lead to the formation of a tropical cyclone, both in the northern and southern hemisphere. If the ocean surface temperature is 27 degrees and above, and the wind shear in the atmosphere is not too high, then twin cyclones will be formed on the same longitude, and they will start moving in opposite directions. The cyclone that forms in the northern hemisphere will start moving in the north and west direction, whereas the cyclone in the southern hemisphere will start moving in the south and west direction. So with this, let's conclude our discussion for today. Thanks for watching.